Our next guest took a step back from politics in 2024 to spend more time with family and to help care for his son, Tommy.
Joining us to discuss the new documentary that shines a light on his political and personal life is former leader of the Green Party, Eamon Ryan. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Eamon.
It's great to have you with us. Listen, tell us about this I'm fascinated about this documentary. It was a behind the scenes of you following the last 18 months of you being in government. Why did you decide to do it?
I was asked to do it. Friends of mine who make film documentaries, and they knew I was going to be in the centre a lot of the international climate negotiations, the International Energy Agency meetings, and in government. And they wanted to tell that story. They wanted to see behind the scenes, how do we address the climate issue in a political way? And so I said yes. I thought that's important. And also I think to be transparent in government, to allow people to see behind the scenes is also healthy for our democracy. So I said yes, and that was what happened. For 18 months, they followed me pretty much. They also included elements of me. I spent a lot of time with my son, Tommy, who has special needs. And I suppose to get a break a little bit for them from the unrelenting climate negotiating rooms, government corridors of power, to show some of that side of life for me. And that was also, and that's a tricky thing you ask, well, because typically you don't involve your family in politics, or they didn't stand for election or were to be put up in the limelight. But myself and my wife felt that our Tommy, we're super proud of him, and he's a lovely young man. He's got his own challenges, but that we were proud that he would get the limelight somewhat. He doesn't ordinarily do that, So that's what the film is. An hour and a half long. It'll be premiered tonight in the Dublin International Film Festival, and it'll be on general release before the summer so people can see it. And I think it tells us a tale about climate, about politics, and also it has a personal side.
Because I want to get into the green wave, where green policy goes, but an awful lot of time people don't think of politicians as being human beings, having families and having interests outside the Dáil and what's going on with them and their clinic and why aren't you doing this? And you have allowed this access. So can you tell us a little bit about Tommy? Many people would know, but many people wouldn't. He was diagnosed late. Yeah,
he was late onset autism. About 4, 5, 6 maybe. It really hit home. He was in a very kind of traumatised state. He has intellectual disabilities as well. He would be described in the medical term would be kind of moderate disabilities, which is not moderate. He needs, he can't live independently. Tommy couldn't go to a mainstream school. But he's a lovely presence. We're very lucky. In the sense that I can go out for a walk with Tommy, or we can go for a cycle and go for a swim. So a lot of my time is spent with him in that way, which is really rewarding for me as well as for him. He's a twin in the middle of the family, and 24 years of age now, and a lovely young man, really kind of a really good presence to be with and a real joy to us.
And you mentioned there he won't ever live independently. In terms of, we talk a lot about the support for carers, and particularly in government. And you were in government, you were part of a lot, I'm sure, of those conversations. Do you think the support is enough out there for government or from carers?
It can never be enough. But one thing can I say, this kind of, politicians are different people. Are they necessarily bad people? You need to move on from that.
But you make the decisions on a lot of this.
And most politicians I know are, just like every other people, are connected to real life. Most politicians, like Micheál Martin, is not unfamiliar with the issue of disabilities. Simon Harris probably went into politics because of an interest in disability. I had the same. So I just think it's not like that the political system is there as, trying not to do something for that cohort. We are, and we do, and we did, I did. We don't get it right, though. Our system, I think most parents of children with disabilities, are adults now as well, would recognise that our system doesn't connect. Our education system, our health system, our social welfare, our housing system. That often we're doing things that cost a lot and require huge resources but aren't really effective. Often you learn more as a parent from other parents than you do from the system. So we need to improve how we manage disability.
Can I just say on this, though, because you talk about politicians, I find that it's only since Leo has stepped away from office, or you have stepped away, that we hear this. Because we don't always hear that actually the system doesn't work.
I think I
from the
spoke in
politicians.
the Dáil about that on the record loads of times. I think
I think we have to step away from politics to give us really your proper opinion on it.
No, I don't think so. I stand up for, like, politics is an honourable profession.
Yeah.
Our country is strong because we have a democratic constitutional republic. We're all equal. We don't have a monarchy where every citizen can run for office and can hold that position. But we often, our system is not clever in terms, we often trip ourselves up, I think, wanting to do the right thing, but not actually delivering a service that we deserve and want and respect. And that's what, we're absolutely right to force and push the political system to say, you need to do more, you need to do better as our representatives. But we should recognise there is also good things happening. I mean, I always say that because there's tens of thousands of people working in caring roles today. We should honour them. Yeah. Like, they do really good work too. Right. It's not enough, and there's loads of gaps. One of the gaps, I think, and I'm involved in a group has been set up recently, Before We Die, which is an organisation recognising, like, I'm in my early 60s now, and it's great looking after Tommy. But what happens when I'm in my early or mid-70s? Like, what point do we say you can't keep doing the full-time caring role? And I think there's a gap there in how the state provides alternative to give, in a sense, recognise that at some point a carer has to retire, and that you need an alternative housing option that has to be flexible, has to recognise people have different types of needs. And that's one issue, I think, at the moment that I'll be going to the politicians and other members of that campaign to say, we're missing something here.
And an awful lot of people, and that's what I say, I think it's nice to see this side of politicians, because I know there's advocacy groups as well amongst the neurodivergent community who are going, what happens when my parents are gone? What's going to happen to me? And I think it's really important that we do talk about that. But this film, Forever Is Now, is what it's called. As you said, premiering tonight, it's sold out at the Dublin International Film Festival. You're also, obviously, you're the leader of the Green Party. And when you went into government, you know, there's criticism, or when you were there the first time, the green wave that swept across Europe was wonderful, and climate was the top of the agenda. Now it has been pushed so far down the agenda because we're talking about different wars and incursions every single day. How does that feel for someone who has talked about this for almost their entire life?
Terrifying. Like, because the climate change is happening faster than we thought. It's not like it's gone away as an issue. It's actually getting worse. And the scientists, when you listen to them, are more concerned than they ever were. And we really do need to act fast. It's terrifying what's happening in America. Like, Donald Trump's administration is carrying out an all-out assault on climate. It's not just in Europe, it's across the world. It will come back. I mean, I've been involved in environmental campaigning for about 40 years. And I've seen that pattern where in the public mind, it's a small issue, and then it becomes a bigger issue, and then it fades away and comes back again. The tide is very low at the moment, but it will return. But it won't return in a kind of wagging your finger, telling people they're wrong or they're the problem. It'll turn because we will have better alternatives that switch away from our use of fossil fuels, that change our connection to nature, the way we look after nature. And so I'm confident that'll come back. You'd need to be, I suppose, because it's a scary world. Yeah. But I'm proud of our time in government. I'm proud that we actually achieved real change, and that Ireland actually is better than we think in terms of how we can address this issue. Now, but I'm not going to be doing it through a political lens anymore. I'm still working on climate change in a variety of different ways, mainly internationally.
Yeah.
And are you enjoying that? Are you enjoying the step away?
I love it. I love also the fact that I am at home most afternoons. So when Tommy gets home, I can go for a walk with him. I can help Victoria. But at the same time, I come back to what I was saying about defending the political system. I was proud. It's a privilege to be a member of a local council or Dáil Éireann. Once you're a representative, your mind shift changes to we can do something rather than they should do something. Yeah. And I loved every minute of it. But for me, it was the right time to step aside, to spend more time at home, but also to work on the issues I'm interested in a slightly different way.
I completely appreciate that.
Absolutely. Listen, I know you wrote an article yesterday in the paper about seeing a full naval base in Dunleary and even off the coast of Galway as well, something you feel strongly around.
Yeah, we're threatened by, we've lots of cables in the Irish Sea, fibre optic cables and gas pipelines. If they were taken out, which has happened in the Baltic recently with the Russian-Ukraine war, it would really cripple the country. And I think we need a naval vessel in Dún Laoghaire so that it can get out fast rather than someone have to sail up from Cork. Right. And same in Rossaveel. We need to turn to our seas because that's where we're going to get our energy from, where we have to protect nature, and we need to defend it. And we need to that with a really modern, advanced navy. So I think there's a government are publishing today a new marine strategy. Is, I was saying part of that should be, let's put a naval base in Dún Laoghaire.
And he no longer has a clinic available for you to go and send him letters given out, I don't want a big boat in Dún Laoghaire or Rossaveel. Eamon Ryan, the film is called Forever Is Now. It's premiering at the Dublin International Film Festival, general release later this year with your political work and your home life. It's lovely to see you doing so well, Eamon Ryan. Thanks so much for joining us.